Seeking the crest of a volcano and a rainforest in the interior of Costa Rica? Your travel guide. Filled with wanderlust, days 4 and 5 are just as exciting as the previous days. We woke up in Cartago, traveled backroads to the elusive Irazu Volcano, crossed more backroads to reach the interior rainforest, found a classy Airbnb tucked inside the jungle, and dined at a secluded destination. Wait until you see the volcanic park, rainforest traffic, powerless cafe, nighttime critter exploration, and nectar-seeking birdies. It's all planned out in this Unclassic Road Trip to the interior sights of Costa Rica. Travel across Central America with me. At the end of this video, I'll share our 16-hour layover in El Salvador, and you will freak out at Paul's previous adventure to Volcan de Acatenango to experience Volcan de Fuego. Grab popcorn or Tortrix, your favorite drink, and sit back for these, our closing adventure stops on our fabulous vacation to Costa Rica. Don't forget to watch the previous 3 videos so you don't miss a moment of touring this compact paradise. Pura vida, it's a Costa Rican kind of thing. You wouldn't understand unless you've been there or watched these action-filled videos. In the last video, we left off at the great Cartago Airbnb. I awoke to these birdies tweeting on the power lines outside our bedroom window and this awful pumping noise. This septic tank pumper was a strange wake-up call. It was after sunrise. We'd slept in. Not really. We packed up except for my boo-boo, which I'll tell you about when we realized it, ate the fresh mangoes we had bought at the roadside fruit stand on day 2. Got the watermelon out of the fridge to relocate it back to its position on the backseat floorboard. Will we ever eat this thing? Now to find breakfast. As we drove down the street, we saw these super-sized water bottles. Who can tell me what these are? Are they really water bottles? Our adventure will be to Parque Nacional Volcan Irazu. We will be visiting the crater sector. Like the previous 2 national parks, we were required to buy tickets online from SINAC and be prepared to show our confirmation and passports or personal ID upon entry. This is not a timed entry managed park. It opens at 8 a.m. There is also a 2,500 Cologne parking fee. Infrequently, national park visitors are graced with views of both the Pacific Ocean and the Caribbean from the rim of the principal crater at this lofty park. But honestly, most of the time, the top of the crater is socked in with clouds or fog. It was 55 degrees and mostly cloudy for us. According to the park guide, this was a balmy day at the craters. Just around the corner from our Cartago Airbnb, we totally enjoyed a relaxed, hearty breakfast at Bread House Bistro and Cafe. Everywhere we ate in Costa Rica, we found great service, exceptionally clean environments, and the highest quality food, except at the cage cafeteria at Manuel Antonio National Park. No worries about that, though. Now on the road, we'd encounter a little traffic as we started off on major arteries in Cartago, then hit the winding back roads through the beautiful countryside to our cool, literally, Volcan experience. I had high hopes, but I was also realistic what we would really get to see. Noticing the looks of the roadway to the park on the map, I wasn't certain if that big breakfast was a good idea after all. This would be an hour drive no matter which route we chose. We decided on the fastest route. First things first, baños and read the signs to get oriented. We take the paved trail passing Crater Diego de la Haya, which leads to the main crater rim. Once at the primary crater, the fencing and the proclivity of warning signs prevented a close look into the crater to see the lake. Nobody tell her, but the lake's not there. It's seasonal, but don't tell her. Blue skies were being overtaken quickly by meaningful cloud cover. What we were able to see, though, was fantastic. Our next stop to attempt the lake view was from a different mirador. We took the high side of the crater trail. Now some facts to go along with the photos. Here at Irazu, you will discover the grandeur of the highest volcano in Costa Rica. There are 5 distinct craters here. The lovely mountain setting, low vegetation, and very wet and cold weather is the reason that this part of the park presents fog most of the time. The maximum elevation is 11,260 feet, with an average temperature range of 41 to 48 degrees Fahrenheit. And get this, a rainfall of 9.3 feet in the craters section. We then messed around Crater Playa Hermosa. And of course, I had to add to the rock cairn. I call them cairns. I don't really know how to say it correctly. I'm going to call them cairns. We walked the entire rim area and saw some terrific foliage and spotted a few cute birdies. Cool cones on these things. As you see, the fog was winning over fast. We hopped in our little red car to take a picture of this great sign with clouds creating the gray background and the short distance on a pothole-filled road to the Mirador. We parked and found quickly that access to this old concrete tower is closed. I wished it wasn't, or that they would have built a replacement tower. Maybe the new president of Costa Rica will appropriate funds to the national park system. I'll let you read this informative sign. Yikes! This broken fence looks like it's kind of intimidating, don't you think? Since we couldn't see anything and we were headed on a long drive, well, not a long in mileage, just time-wise, to our next national park, we decided that this was the perfect place to literally bust open our backseat ice-bathed watermelon. It was almost overripe by now, but you can see it had seeds. Guess it was real, and the flavor was wonderful. We returned to the park gift shop to buy a few souvenirs and a couple of cafes for the road. And another potty stop was definitely in order. We weren't really leaving yet. I had seen on the map another crater on a side road, not far from the park entrance station. It's always dangerous for me to be looking at maps. We pulled over to walk to the crater area, but because of fog, we didn't see the cone very well. Back on the road, I wanted to stop at Linda's. I had come across pictures of the interior of this unique restaurant and wanted to pop in there to leave one of my Unclassic Road Trip QR codes. The place was basically empty. I think it's more of an evening kind of place. The kind man behind the counter let us walk around freely. We did buy these yummy treats to eat on the road. They would definitely come in handy. This will be a very crazy cross-country drive along backroads by farm fields to reach Highway 32. We chose the high road, 218. We should be at Braulio Carrillo National Park by 2:30. We did pull off at one of the many curves at this pullout to take in these expansive views of San Jose. Oh, look at the Chucho! We reached Highway 32, a 4-lane highway that soon reduced to a 2-lane highway with a passing lane on climb-ups the hills. This is essentially the only way to the major Caribbean coastal city of Limon. That means every tourist, locals, and truckers between San Jose to the eastern coast use this highway. Sadly, our progress and speed came to a screeching halt. Not slow down, but a halt. Occasionally, cars in the opposing traffic would flow past us, and we would inch up. The weather started to cloud up and turn to a pretty steady rain. We literally sat on the road at a basic standstill for 2 hours. We would not make it to the national park by 2:30 as we had hoped. Since the park closes at 3:30, we would never make it in time to even do a little something there. As we just sat there in our little red car snacking on the Linda treats, and I was coveting my bag of Tortrix, these entrepreneurs were walking between the lanes selling sandwiches, drinks, and snacks to all who were hungry. I think they must have this down to an art. Traffic freed up from the apparent crash that had put thousands of people on hold on Highway 32. Since the clock was ticking away and the rain wasn't letting up, we figured it was a good idea to just get to the Jungle House, the name of our next Airbnb. The owners opened the gate in the rain and let us into this beautiful place. A full kitchen and a suicide shower? I was a bit concerned about the bug nets over the beds. We brought in our backpacks, relaxed on this terrific patio in the hammocks, and listened to the falling rain. We would be having dinner at Secreto Azul. This restaurant was totally off the beaten path and had so many rave reviews. How could we not go there? With all the rain and continued drizzle, we weren't able to eat under one of the very uniquely lit garden-style seating areas. I had to pass through it to see what we were missing out on. If you are looking for a great date night in Costa Rica, this is the place, for they have a number of photo spots ready for you and your love. We ordered more traditional meals. I got tacos and we got a pizza for the table. The food was top-notch, of course. What else would we expect? Now is the time for me to admit my boo-boo. I left my eye drops under my pillow in Cartago. Yikes! Got Polly? The owners of the Airbnb said that we were welcome to hike around the property. There was a super-duper flashlight on the dresser. We decided to do our own nighttime jungle tour. Let's go. This is what we found. As we wound back to the cottage, we found this whining kitty. I dubbed him Gimpy as he had a bad foot. He would continue to whine the rest of our stay there. Where was his mommy? Next is safe, suicide shower, and go underneath the net cover to climb into the comfy bed. 5 a.m. comes early. This was our last night in Costa Rica. Tomorrow we'll be busy. Did you think otherwise? We took a few minutes to photograph the incredible tropical plants and flowers growing throughout this picture-perfect yard at this super nice Airbnb. Each night, the Airbnbs got better and better. Bye, Gimpy. I desired to go to Restaurante Café Manigua at Caribe for a cafe at the upstairs coffee area. They open at 6 a.m. Then we would travel less than a couple miles to our scheduled 7 a.m. tour at Nectar Pollen Reserve. I had found this special place and really looked forward to experiencing this special rainforest-embraced locale. As we drove up to the restaurant, everything looked dark. Were they open? Yes, but the power had gone out. No espresso, no latte, no fresh baked goods. Oh man! They did have a pot of regular stove-brewed coffee and a day-old cinnamon roll sticky bun thing. Oh my, I guess this will have to do. We enjoyed the bun. It wasn't all that bad. Costa Rican coffee and a wet view of the jungle from our stools. It's okay, really. I'm in Costa Rica and in a drizzly rainforest. How could I possibly complain or be disappointed? I'm not. It makes for a great story, don't you think? Now onward to meet Mike, or Miguel as the Ticos call him. His reserve is 5 minutes away. Mike is the owner of the Nectar Pollen Reserve, which opens daily at 6 a.m. All these Ticos, they rise early. We were the first and only guests, which is how we prefer tours. Mike had texted requesting we arrive at 7 a.m. For the most part, seeing birds is best in the early morning. Mike and his longtime volunteer assistant talked to us and showed us around the property.
Think of all the work they did to cut those leaves and left them there, you know. I'll tell you, ants tire me out just watching them the way they work.
We did see great foliage and quite a few lovely birds. We were hoping for much more though, but Mike informed us that the recent heavy rains had greatly diminished the birding opportunities for this morning. Mike made us a coffee using a French press because the power to his place was out too. Apparently, this is a fairly common occurrence after heavy rains.
Where does he think he's going?
He's going somewhere. He's on a mission.
It's the same wherever you go. Oh, he's going to share. Y'all going to share, meet in the middle?
Our adventure list was being completed as time moved on. We would now have time to go to the Parque National Braulio Carrillo that we missed yesterday afternoon. I had a few other things planned, but those were nixed for this rainforest hike at the nearby national park. Travel tip? Always keep your options open. You really shouldn't expect everything to go as planned. No timed or online prepaid entry was required there at the Quebrada Gonzalez sector. You will pay the entrance fee at the visitor center. When we mentioned to Mike and his assistant that we missed out on Braulio Carrillo because of the accident delay yesterday, we were going to spend our remaining time at the park before heading to SJO to fly out this afternoon. The volunteer said for us to cross Highway 32 to see the giant ceibo tree on the hike in that part of the park. Great recommendation, as we shall see. Steve paid the entrance fee and we headed toward the highway to cross to get to the Ceibo Trail. The recent rains made this a terrific experience and the foliage was incredible, but so was the mud on the trail. Take a hike with me. We then crossed back over the highway to take Sendero Las Palmas. There were only 2 other visitors at the park while we were there. This high-pressure water spout was a great place for me to rinse off my muddy, ugly shoes. Fiddlehead, anyone? Possible traffic jams and fueling up the rent cart was all looming in the back of our minds as we ended our Costa Rican adventures. Had I checked off everything on my list? Well, about as close as imagined, and then some. What a perfect trip. Hang on with me through our 16-hour layover in El Salvador to stay at La Playa, see the Southern Cross, see sunrise on the Pacific Ocean, and head to IAH. We returned our shiny red rent car to Adobe. I wish I'd taken a picture of my floorboard. No, not the watermelon floorboard, but mine. You'd think I was a 5-year-old. It looked like a mess. I tried to make it presentable. The guy even asked Paul if someone had thrown up in the car. He said no, I hadn't. Just food crumbs and leaves, mud, no vomit. I promise, I've never been so messy. I guess I was a little overexcited on this wonderful trip. Some of those crumbs belong to the limon Tortrix fritos I became addicted to. Just saying. We piled in the Adobe courtesy van, which took us to SJO in plenty of time. The lines were really long to go through immigration and screening. I had taken a picture of this cute red wagon adorned with flowers. I had noticed smaller ones at a few other places during our trip. I learned this was an ox cart or carreta and is a significant symbol of Costa Rican culture and heritage, representing the country's agricultural history, particularly in coffee transportation. These brightly painted carts are not only functional, but also serve as a form of artistic expression, showcasing designs that reflect local pride and identity. And you thought you were getting out of watching this video without a socio-cultural tip? Nope. But I also promised a glimpse of Paul's recent grueling hike and overnight camp to see Volcan de Fuego in Guatemala. The spewing volcano is mind-blowing. I hope you haven't forgotten, but we have one more boo-boo to admit. You'll want to hear what he did and how the Ticos came to the rescue. Costa Rica is pura vida in every way. The SJO airport is state-of-the-art. USA, you might want to get some tips from the Ticos. Now, we grabbed a few more souvenirs and lunch and found our gate. Our flight to El Salvador was on time. We would fly over Nicaragua, and I was looking forward to our path taking us over Lake Nicaragua. Wheels up, enjoy the quick flight. I caught these snapshots of the volcanoes in Lake Nicaragua. Awesome, right? Wheels down! Bienvenidos a El Salvador, un país que renace, a country reborn. Welcome to Bitcoin country. We headed to immigration to enter El Salvador, the land of surf, volcanoes, and coffee. We would see all three in our overnight jet stop. Our ride was waiting for us in the arrival lanes. We stopped at a convenience store to get a few snacks, bottled water. Travel tip, you don't want to drink the water there. Unbelievably, Paul bought 2 frozen pizzas. If you were wondering, regular gas was $3.84 a liter. Figure out the gallon price and give the answer in the comments. Travel tip, El Salvador uses American currency. That sure makes it easy. This was the family home of a good friend of Paul's, and we were thankful for their gorgeous Mayan-crafted gifts of a dress for me and shirts for my guys. We enjoyed the night on the surf and observed the Southern Cross high in the sky. Sat at poolside, relaxed in the hammocks, and ate the frozen pizzas. We hit the hay early for the week's activities, and long days were catching up, and the thoughts of all we had seen and done grew overwhelming as my head hit the pillow. My little prince had lured us to Pura Vida. Sunrise was early, as usual in Central America. We enjoyed the surf and sand and palms. Snacked on some convenience store purchased baked goods to hold us over until we got to the aeropuerto. I got my flip-flops back in the sand one more time. Our ride picked us up at La Playa at 7:20 and carted us to Aeropuerto San Salvador. This is Presidente and Primera Dama Bukele. Now, the food the last 24 hours has been kind of slim, so we had plenty of time to get tasty crepes at this shop in the airport. There were lots of nice options for food. The guy behind the counter here promised the water and the cafe were filtered water. Our bellies were full. We did buy a couple bottled waters for the flight. Remember, you can buy drinks on the other side of immigration and screening. IAH Houston bound on a direct flight from here. Would I be able to catch a glimpse of Volcan de Fuego as we passed across Guatemala? Well, I'm going to give you more than a glimpse. Speaking of fuego, we had to have fuego chips on the plane ride home. We had to keep this going. A month prior, Paul did a grueling guided hike to Volcan de Acatenango to get up close to Volcan de Fuego. Being February and at an elevation of 13,045 feet, he was beyond freezing. There were 5 total in this group, including the guide. They stayed on the side of the mountain in a yurt-style cabin. I use that term loosely. The guide cooked them dinner that night and breakfast in the morning. He FaceTimed me to share these incredible eruptions of fuego that evening. During the daytime, you don't see the fuego, but you do see the smoke plume from the eruptions. Hiking Acatenango in Guatemala is a demanding 2-day, 11-mile round-trip hike that rises to 13,044 feet. It requires a 4.5 to 6-hour climb to base camp, which is at 3,600 meters, and an hour-and-a-half summit hike for sunrise. The reason the difficulty is rated high is due to the steepness, the altitude, and the loose volcanic ash. There are always, it seems, below freezing temperatures at night and at sunrise. 2 things you may have noticed. Yes, there were Chuchos up there, and he did hike this in cowboy boots. Well, maybe not cowboy boots, but there were boots. Bare feet, flip-flops, and ugly shoes on the ground on an unclassic road trip in Central America. I want to encourage you to watch this entire series. This video is the 4th and final one. Please subscribe, leave me a comment, and share my channel with at least one friend. This really helps me grow my channel. I love sharing my travels with all of you and truly enjoy hearing from you. Now, how the Ticos came to our rescue when Paul made the third boo-boo, which would have been the most expensive boo-boo, but it worked out. Back to the immigration screening line. Right as we walked up to the immigration officer to show our passports before going through the detectors, Paul realized he had left his sunglasses case that contained his 2 pairs of prized sunglasses in the Adobe rent-a-car van. Remember, the line was super long, for we had been in it for over an hour. The immigration officer was understanding and told him that he could go try to retrieve his sunglasses and just return off to the side and get our attention, and he would not have to wait in the long line again. He ran outside to see if the courtesy van happened to be dropping off the next round of guests to the airport. It was, and the same driver recognized Paul and said he put his sunglasses in the office for safekeeping. He radioed the office. They put his sunglasses on the next van, headed to the airport, met up with Paul. Paul got to the immigration officer and rejoined us all within a 20-minute time frame. Third boo-boo, 1 great company, 1 great officer. Yay! When I say the Ticos are awesome, I truly mean the Ticos are awesome.